Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to know and do to finally achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve. In the new work from home environment, how do you create a space that makes the right impression where you can also have peace and prosper? Well, our guest today is designer Nikki Klug, and she's going to be sharing with us how we can create a sacred space. But here are the three things you need to know about creating a sacred workspace. First, your environment reflects your mindset. Secondly, every minute of organization saves you time and money. And then finally, a sacred space can increase your productivity. Nikki Klug is an award-winning interior designer, a three-time author. She's also had her work featured on NBC, BET, and the American Dream Show. Nikki is a professional member of the American Society of Interior Designers, and it is my pleasure to welcome Nikki to Get Wealthy. Welcome to our program today.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I think this is an appropriate time. Well, it's always an appropriate time. But, you know, when you're nearing the year in and going into the new year, I feel like this is the time I kind of want to declutter, if you will, especially after getting rid of Christmas decorations. So the first question I really have for you is, how has this whole virtual work from home environment impacted interior design?
Oh my gosh, Deborah. Yes, absolutely. There's 2 times a year that I recommend people do a deep cleaning, and that's spring cleaning. And then after the Christmas decor is taken down. So this is the perfect time to start preparing your mind, your calendar, and your space for doing just that. Now, since everyone's been working from home at the beginning of COVID, we all know that, we were on lockdown and we were trying to figure out ways to stay productive and, manage children that may be at home or spouses that need to share the same space. So my extension of sacred spaces became a money space. It was like, okay, we need to figure out how to make a space that is going to instantly put you in the mindset so that you can be more productive, so that you're organized, so that you're inspired, or you're really focusing in on the task at hand. And your environment can help support or can detract from those things.
I love that, because I would say, I had never worked with a designer, Nikki, until I worked with you. And so what I hope we can do today is kind of share with our audience how your environment can really impact your overall state of mind and help you to become more effective and ultimately more successful.
Right.
So I want to start there. The framework for Get Wealthy that we use for success in all areas is mindset, strategy, and execution. So I want to begin there with mindset, because I really do feel like that particularly your environment is a reflection of your mindset. And I know that's something that you espouse. And so I want to talk to you just about why is this so important for people to understand?
So I say, just like the books you read and the friends you surround yourself with, how you're surrounded in your environment absolutely has an effect on your mindset, your mood, your results. Because if you think about when you're getting ready for work in the morning, right? You're putting on your clothes, your makeup, you're doing your hair. You don't just get out of bed and go into the office. Now, I know some people were doing that during COVID and keeping their camera off, but on a general basis, right? We present ourselves, we prepare ourselves, and your space is the same way. Now, as we were starting to invite people into our homes because cameras needed to be on for engagement, then you start looking around, it's like, ooh, maybe I'm not so proud of what's showing behind me. Maybe I need to do some things to prepare my space so that I show up in a professional way, show up confidently. And so those things are outside working in. Now, inside working out, I recently visited a client in Los Angeles, California, and on my way out of the door, it just hit me. It caught me so raw. She's like, I don't know if I'm depressed, and so my space is showing up poorly, or if my space is showing up poorly and I'm depressed, but I'm so glad you're here to help me. And that was the first time someone actually used the word depressed in relationship to their home. Although I did know it, instinctually, and I've seen it. But it was so astute of her to actually use that word and call it out so that I knew that, I was the solution for her and that we were going to get in there and help her fix that situation. So yes, your space absolutely has a play on your mind and your mood. And there are some things that we can manipulate too. And I think that goes into strategy. So I'll let you continue.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you today really is sometimes we don't even realize that we could have a surrounding that is impacting, even if it's not cluttered or anything like that. But what are some elements that you might have in your home that you may not even be aware could be impacting your mindset? For example, is there certain lighting that you should have? Are there certain smells or something of that you need to be aware of so that you create a space like you so eloquently put where you can really thrive?
Right. So yes, lighting and scent comes into play. We talk about designing to your senses. We all experience the world differently, and generally 2 of the 5 that we know of, there are actually 26 senses that the human body holds, but 5 that we know about and can all identify with, 2 of those are generally impacting you. That's how you experience the world. So there's touch, of course, there's smell, there's sight, there's the sense of hearing, right? And olfactory smell. So, and then the last one is taste, but we say that's more of your personal taste, your style. Designing. But yes, smells absolutely. Aromatherapy, think about that, have an effect on you. So we like to bring in citrus for energy, peppermint as well. And then for restfulness and other spaces in your home, lavender or clary sage. There are different scents that evoke different energies and emotions. And so you can take those and bring in more of what you need in your workspace. Lighting is, yes, very important as well. And I would add in one more thing, and that's not necessarily tied to your senses, but it's traffic flow. If you think about where you are tolerating something, is it a disorganized drawer? Is it a weird corner in the room? Is it, a space where people bump into each other often and frequently? How can you adjust and make things make it where things flow more easily?
It's interesting. One of my thoughts as you were saying that is that I'm not a big plant person only because I have a black thumb, not a green thumb. And so, but my husband loves greenery. And so I wonder if bringing that kind of element into your space can also assist you with creating an environment and having the right mindset.
Absolutely. It's a symbol of life and new birth, green, the color green itself, but also green plants bring in oxygen and they're healthy. Now, there are some interior home plants that will stay alive with even the blackest of thumbs. Our monthly watering. But then there are some really, really great faux plants now. Oh my gosh, they have come a million years in just the technology of making things look real. And so bringing in a lot of those or a few of those and having one actual real plant might be the trick for you, Deborah. So try that.
Oh, that's good. This was the first year we ever had an artificial tree. And I would say that I am kind of impressed with how far they've come from. I remember back in the day growing up, we put the little sticks and the branches in the tree trunk, but they have come a long, long way. And so this makes perfect sense. So when we come back, I want to talk a bit about strategy, and strategy from the standpoint of how your design can impact this whole virtual working from home, and what are some of the strategies that you can use to make a great impression when you're having to engage with your workplace from home. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, host of Get Wealthy, and we're talking about this whole work from home environment that we're in. How can you create a money space, as our guest shared with us today? Nikki Klug is an interior designer, and she's sharing some great tips on what you need to do to make the right impression from home. So, Nikki, I want to talk about strategies. In this environment, as you can see, I'm in a home office. Typically, sometimes I'm in a studio. And the reason that we built a studio in our home is because, we're working from home and doing a lot of streaming now. So with that in mind, I would love for you to share how you've been influenced, right, in your design by this whole work from home environment.
Oh my gosh. It has gotten so incredibly busy for us. Luckily, we started designing long distance 7 years ago now, 2 years before, 2 years since the pandemic, but 5 years prior to that. And that gave us the ability to really be ahead of the trend of working from home, because we had done so many Zoom meetings and discovered the ways to get measurements and all the specifications and things that we need for a space in order to design. So the pandemic really did boost our business in the sense that we were already steps ahead, and we were helping people in their homes by creating a money space challenge and helping people get themselves situated and organized and putting first things first, like what are the first things you should do if you start working from home. So that was quite an adventure, and I'm happy to continue that now and talk with people like you and your audience about the importance of, setting up your money space. That's maybe the first place you want to conquer if you're working from home still and haven't yet done so, and then see how that affects you and spreads out to other areas of your home. Again, how you surround yourself absolutely has an impact on your mindset and your mood.
Yes, we're going to have to make sure we share that you do a money space challenge where you help people consider, what are the things that you need to consider working from home. But one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about is, as I shared, I had never used an interior designer until I worked with you. And so can you share with our audience just a little bit about how you find a designer, and what are some of the things that you need to consider when you're choosing one?
Right. I think people are afraid to look into hiring an interior designer. They think, oh my gosh, it's going to explode my budget. It's going to cost so much more. In actuality, we help you save money. We help you make really wise choices and prioritize and make bigger impacts with less, as well as, cutting down on mistakes. So I know that we talked through some things, Deborah, and you had some great ideas. And I gave you the things to consider from a professional standpoint of, well, make sure you do this. And if you want to do that, then you need to talk to this person, right? And so there are a lot of considerations to be made. Designers help, with safety. Designers are absolutely required in commercial spaces because we know all of the ADA laws. In conjunction with architects and builders, we make sure that the environments are safe. All the finishes and fixtures and materials that you see, likely an interior designer, whether it's inside of an architectural firm or not, has made those selections. So yes, health and safety in a commercial environment and residential environment, we are bringing in some of those same things into the home now. I'm learning about, they don't even want to call it AV anymore. They want to call it integration. And as basically intranet for the home. So we are starting to bring in all those things we know in design and in building and construction for the commercial space, and having the luxury of bringing those inside of our homes now so that we can experience those higher levels of luxury and just functionality as well.
I love it. Functionality. Well, I guess one of the reasons I was somewhat, what do I want to call it, reluctant, right, to work with a designer is because I love creating things, right? And I wanted to have my own taste, and I felt like, oh, well, I could do this. But then what I found after working with you and you putting to that, one of the things I don't think people realize is that you basically had me go out and give you some ideas of my style, what are the things that my preferences were. And you kind of took that into consideration as you created the design. Certainly, we had moved from a big home, we were scaling down. And so I had brought all of this big furniture with me. I'm telling the truth, guys. I just want you to know. And one of the things that you really helped me understand was that, you can still have a kind of a big vision, but that scale is very important. Can you talk with the audience just a little bit about how a designer can help you do more with sort of less?
Yeah, absolutely. So scale, you bring that up, is so important. I don't know how many times we've had clients where in the showroom, the sofa looks perfect. It was the right size and right color. But when they got it home, it was either too large or too small for their space. And they're like, ooh, what happened here? Like, it looked really good in the showroom. Scale is so important. Color, you want to look at color in the lighting that you are in, that the piece will be in. So that's really important to know. Gosh, Deborah, and there are some designers that are known for a specific style, like people go to for that style. They know if they go to XYZ designer, they're going to get this. My company is very client centric. And what I mean by that is, yes, I do have a personal style that sometimes comes out and is strong, but when it's in alignment with the client, other times you cannot tell that that was me that touched it, other than the really great sense of belonging and being. That person knows, wow, this is me. This is my home. And Nikki captured everything I was looking for. It's because we're so client centric. We ask questions. It's like almost like an interrogation, right, Deborah?
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Right. You're really getting into your head and your heart. We're looking at where you've been, where you want to go. We always say that, we design spaces that help you become a better you. So we're so passionate about it and understand that the impact of great design, how it, can elevate you. And sometimes if you're not attentive to it, it can really bring down. So we like to be that solution for people that are looking to be inspired by their space and reflect the success that they've created in their lives.
Well, the other point that I wanted to make sure that our viewers get to understand is one of the other things that I appreciated is I had bought I had existing pieces that you said, oh, good choice, right? And that you were able to sort of incorporate in the design. So I think that people may have the impression that, I'm going to have to take everything that I have and start over, and that's going to be very expensive. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you consider integrating what people already have into your design?
Yeah, especially if it's a newer purchase. I mean, that reflects who you are right now. Now, if it's something from, 20 years ago, from college, from first getting married, it's not using who you are any longer, right? But if there are heirloom pieces from, say, grandmother or, great aunt, those, we find a way to work those in, because it's not about having everything brand new and everything, in a particular style. Really, our lives are integrated with who we are when we're at work, when we're with our children, when we're with our spouse. So I feel like the home should be the same way, right? It reflects many different sides of you, and the past, the present, and like I said, looking into the future.
So can you give us an example? I would love for you, certainly, we're going to make sure that we incorporate some of your designs into this segment. I would love is there a favorite design that you recently, executed on that you could share with us, and just to get a sense of what your thought process is?
There are so many. I literally fall in love with my clients. So again, we want to understand their family dynamics, who they are. We really go in deeper with clients than I would imagine if, ever starting this profession. We say we're often marriage therapists when we have husbands and wives that with competing interests or visions. So gosh, so many homes that we've been in that I just love the results that we've created. I'm currently in my own home renovation, relocating to Omaha, Nebraska. And from here, I get a clear vision of our kitchen, and it's a really sexy, swanky kitchen. That's my newest favorite.
Okay.
Gosh, it's
well, talk to us about that for a moment. Like, it wasn't new construction. Was it new construction, or was it an existing home? And if it is an older home, right? If it is an older home, how do you approach that?
Yeah. So this home was built in 1994, which is also the year we got married. So I thought that was kismet. And it's an older, Americana style home, not too Spanish, not too colonial, just, pretty general with a lot of great space. And so it was needed to, remodel the kitchen and the bathrooms, change the flooring, update some spaces. And so we've been working on that the past 10 months. The kitchen is a reflection of our new mindset and our new space that we're in. We have 4 sons, my husband and I. And the youngest just recently left home. It's been a year now. It feels still so new. So we're new empty nesters. And this kitchen has Black cabinets on top and a really warm, deep wood on bottom with a backsplash that has Black and gold inlay. And so it's really very, very modern, clean lines, flat panel doors, touch open and close, no hardware that's visible, except for on one pantry area. It's a thin, sleek Black fingertip opener and a really super deep pantry. The cabinetry goes from floor to ceiling. I'll see if I can get you some pictures to.
Yes. So I want to. If you can give us pictures, we'll definitely include it. So. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I want to know, because you shared a picture of that was the agate, the agate rock?
Yes.
Where were you putting that at? Where was that going?
That's in the shower area of our primary bathroom.
Oh my! Yeah. So we've got to have pictures.
I'll give you some progress.
This is a big job, right? I feel like you must have renovated you talk about kitchen, floors, bathroom. That's almost a complete renovation.
Essentially.
Yeah. So when we come back, though, I want to talk about execution. So you have been hearing how Nikki Klug Interior Design really approaches design. And if you haven't ever worked with a designer that perhaps you were like me, that's really what we want to share with you today. So when we come back, it's all about execution.
Put 10 in here?
10, and you don't come out till you die. And you eat him, you eat 10.
Oh my God.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens. You're watching Get Wealthy. And with all of us working from home and wanting to have a life that, a visual representation that we're bringing people into our homes, joining me today is Nikki Klug. She is the owner and founder of Nikki Klug Interior Design. And we're talking about how you make a great impression in this virtual environment that we're all living in. Nikki, I wanted to thank you so much. I can't wait to see how much progress you've made in your own home, how timely. Now I want to talk about execution, because I do think that when you're working, if you've never worked with an interior design, here you come with these ideas. You basically give me a rendering of and add the actual furniture, and talk about once you sit down with the client, like you did me, and you go back into your, I don't know, your, what do I want to call it, your lab, and you find all these different things based on the conversations that you have. What is the process that you go through in creating that design? And delivering it to the client so that they can make choices?
Yeah. So one of the first things we do once we understand your goals and your desire, what your vision and your wish list is we start creating the structure for that to happen. So we look at the floor plan, the existing floor plan, where the lighting is, where the feature walls are. Is there a fireplace? Are there a bank of windows? We start looking at the structure of the space and create a furniture plan. So we lay out, furniture according to how many guests do you entertain? What's your family structure like? Do you have pets? We think about all the different ways that the space could be used in a functional way, and we get that on paper. From there, we see, okay, these are the pieces we need to buy. Maybe we have a couple of different choices, and we build out a budget. Okay, what is it going to take to bring this all to life? Not only the furniture, but also the layers, the draperies, the lighting, any special wall treatments. We look at, like, what's the potential of this space? How are we going to get this over the finish line to this client's wish list and make it an extreme transformation, the one that they're looking for. And from there, once we have the structure and the budget, we start thinking about their senses, like how do they want to experience this space? Is there a sense of sight? Are they really big on color? And if they're, primary input is sight, should it be an organic space or more of a structured and modern and clean space? Usually we're about 80% of people are visual, of course, and you obviously think of that when you think of interior design. But then we started thinking about, is it touch? Is it texture? What type of fabrics are we going to need for the sofa or the chair or the rug? Like, what are the tactile places that we get to play with? And of course, there's the lighting and the sound. We look at those layers, and that informs us of where and what we're shopping for. And then finally, the style, the taste. What company, what of our vendor partners are going to best play with their budget and their style and taste and bring this all home for us. So lots of different steps in there. Showing the client our design concept for approval before we go all the way in to the final details of drapery, hardware, and finials and accessories and art. We do, nuts to soup to nuts with our clients, the whole thing, if that's what they so desire. Or sometimes it's a consultation where we give them all of our great ideas and let them execute it on their own. People that are, really great with shopping and want to be more involved. Sometimes that's the solution for them.
Yeah, and you know what? It's great that I'm so glad that you shared that, because I do feel like, that even interior design could be in stages, right? Because it's kind of like you're building that relationship and people want to feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought something up really great, and that's about, your design concept. Yeah. And talk to us a little bit about how in that design concept, certainly your client comes up with a budget when you're looking, or it could be the other way around, you give a design concept. Do you, in your when you're presenting something to a client, do you give them options, right? Like, this is this would be your high choice, this would be your low choice, and this would be a, what do I want to say, a saving conscious choice or something like that, just so that our folks can get a sense of what that looks like and feels like.
Yeah, actually, during the consultation, Deborah, we look at that framework, that furniture plan, and the pieces that need to be purchased new. And we build a budget so that it's comfortable with the client. So we have budget agreement from the beginning. Now, every once in a while, we really, really want to honor budgets. Every once in a while, there's this amazing piece that blows the budget, and it's like a definite splurge. What we'll do behind the scenes is we'll work to maybe make this piece a little less or that piece a little less, so that we still come within the overall budget. But still, sometimes it's like, okay, let's show the piece that works, in agreement with what we decided from the beginning was acceptable and comfortable. And then let's show the splurge piece. And if necessary, let's already have a plan of how to get that splurge piece, whether it's now or, and we put some other things off, or if we can get it later, but it makes sense to get the more reasonable, if you want to say that word, thing.
So, reasonable, that was the word I was looking for. That's the other thing that I wasn't aware of, and that I think people need to understand, is that, when you're going into some of these furniture retailers, or you're online and you see that retail price, that is retail. And in some cases, and in most cases, interior designers have relationships with these vendors. And so what you can really bring to bear is the ability to negotiate on pricing using your own leverage and your discounts. Talk to us a little bit about that.
That's one of the ways that interior designers save money. And now not everyone does that. So I didn't bring that up initially because, again, not every designer works that way, but we do. We save you 20 to 30% off retail price. And oftentimes the interior design service itself is paid for through the savings of the purchases. So yes, interior designers, we have vendor partners that we have great buying power with, and we don't have the overhead of a big chain store. And so we are able to offer that at a reduced price.
Well, this is Get Wealthy. So I had to come up with the fact that interior designers are investments, right? But not only investments, but that you can get a return on those investments as well. And the other aspect of execution that I wanted to get into that I think is so critical, we had a total remodel. Well, not a remodel. We finished our basement, which when we bought this home, it was unfinished. Right. And so often, you're so fearful of the contractors that are going to come in and do the work. Are they going to finish now? Because what I have found, it took us what was supposed to be 3 months. It took us a year to build a what I thought was a screen porch, but I was informed it really was an addition. So that's why it took so long. But talk to us a little bit about how the relationships with contractors can be beneficial, that interior designers have with contractors can be beneficial when you're, remodeling or doing an interior design project.
Yeah, absolutely. Interior designers can bring in the contractors and work with contractors that they have a relationship with and have a little bit more leverage and pull because, they bring the contractor work. For example, we have a contractor in San Diego, California, that we've worked with for 15 years now. In the last 4 years, we've kept him busy, project to project to project, to the point where I'm like, I should put you on payroll. Project. He's the type of contractor, he just does one major project at a time. He might do a couple little side things as he's waiting for permitting to happen. But his attention and focus is on one major project. And we've done 5 kitchens, 3 bathrooms, a couple of built-ins and back door. I'm thinking of one specific home. It was a different need than our normal flow, but we have kept Tommy so busy. And because of that, he is not that he's beholden to us in any means, but he wants to keep me happy because I keep bringing him business. So he stays on schedule. He's very communicative. He's very clean and neat and meticulous. And I love that. And that's why I keep going back to him. But yes, your interior designer will have relationships locally that can benefit you in the long run versus you trying to, beg the contractor to come back and make progress and keep you informed with what's going on. The construction industry is quite taxed right now. And even before COVID, their practices aren't necessarily, as business oriented as maybe some of us are accustomed to in a commercial space or commercial setting. So it can be challenging, Deborah. It definitely can be challenging. But I want to bring up one point. I want to go backwards a little bit because not everyone knows, especially your savvy investors would want to know this, that you can take a deduction for the cost of your interior designer. When you're doing your home, it becomes part of the basis of your home costs. When you go to sell, keep all those receipts, keep all those purchases. Now, not furnishings, but anything that changes the home, the design for that, the labor that went into planning that, and the materials and construction labor, that all gets written off as part of your basis when you go to sell your home. So really important to know. Not everybody knows that.
Absolutely. And also, I get all excited because we're talking about investment and return on investment. But also, one of the things that you should know is that the two major areas of your home, when you upgrade them, that increase the value of your home are what Nikki just said she's doing in her home, and they are kitchens and bathrooms. So I believe, I'm so glad you brought that up because I believe that, I was just speaking with a coaching client and we were talking about ways that she can create, I call it sweat your assets, right? And one of the ways you can sweat your assets is if you are going to do short-term rentals, that's one of the things that you want to do in your interior design, because what happens is that you're able to get more because people are going to pay more when you have nice surroundings. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to make it too nice because you have people coming in your home, but that is a benefit all the way around. So I love investment. So we're not spending. We are making investments in our area as well as internally, right? and externally, but internally it's the way it makes us feel. So folks, we're coming back to our next segment, and that is our analyze, optimize, and maximize. And one of our whole focus for this segment was working from home. And so when we come back, that's exactly what I'm going to have Nikki share with you, exactly what you need to do to add that to your environment.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back, everyone. Well, this has been a fabulous conversation about creating sacred spaces. We do know that at this time, in these times that we're in, working from home and bringing people into our homes virtually has become even more critically. So, Nikki, welcome. It's our Analyze, Optimize, and Maximize segment. So that's what I want to talk to specifically about. Is this virtual? How do we add this work from home space? What's the first thing we need to consider, from analyzing what areas we could use within our home for working from home?
Yeah, that's great. Great question, Deborah. If you don't have an extra space, say a guest bedroom or a den that doesn't get used often, there are some other areas that you can consider. Now, those will be ideal because you can close the door, no one's disrupting you, no one's, making noise in the background, and you can maybe make some changes in that space to set up a proper office. But sometimes that's not the case. And so the next thing that we like to recommend is the dining room. Generally, a dining room will have a table, right? That's 30 inches high, just like a desk. And you can set yourself up so that the back wall in the dining room is behind you. And so no one's walking behind you and in the view of the camera. If a dining room is not available to you, then go to the breakfast room. And if absolutely necessary, your bedroom. You can position yourself in a corner in your bedroom. Generally, the bed is taking up a lot of the space. If you're in a home that, doesn't have a separate den or office space, I'm guessing that you don't necessarily even have a sitting room. But if you do, a sitting room in the bedroom would be great. And if not, just don't sit in the bed.
Right? That's exactly right. Oh, that is so scary. It's so funny. I had that happen.
Yeah.
But the other question I have for you is that how about if you have like a large closet? Right. How would you kind of optimize that? Certainly, I don't mean you have clothes in it, but you have a space but it's a smaller space.
Right.
What do you need to think about in that regard?
I would only do that for meeting time. I would not recommend working in a closet to anyone. Not that everyone's claustrophobic, but it can just feel oppressive. It can feel worse than even in a cubicle. So, but for meeting time, when you need it to be quiet, the clothes that are still left in that closet are actually really great for soundproofing. I know someone that actually does recordings in their closet.
Yeah, podcast.
Sound, right? But I would, think about getting a Zoom background so that it blurs out any clothing or any, of the hardware that's inside of a closet. But yeah, I would, that would be a last resort, but a great thought, Deborah.
Well, no. I thought perhaps you have a large closet, just in terms that you're going to use that for just the office, if you will. Right. Maybe it's like 8 by 10 or something, right? And I just wanted to get that interior design Is that could you
have a
use
huge
a space of
closet.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you
Yeah.
have that much of a closet, maybe you have another room in the house that's extra. I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. But in looking at some of these homes, some of the closets now are as
Oh
big
my
as bedrooms, right? So I was just thinking,
Yeah.
so lastly, just in terms of optimizing, I do know that we're working from home. Certainly we can set up, virtual workspaces in different rooms, but what suggestions do you have for now that we're working from home? How do we set like barriers where we're not just working all the time? I mean, what are some of the things that you can do from an interior design perspective so work isn't flowing all the way over into your actual home life?
That's such a great point, Deborah, because we have heard of people that say, I love working from home. I get so much more done, and it's like they realize it's not necessarily because I'm a whole bunch more productive, but just because that hour commute I can now spend at my desk and, hour there and back, that's an extra 2 hours a day. So instead of working 8 hours, maybe now I'm working 10 or 11 hours, right? We don't want that. We want to still have work-life balance and now we have more of a work-life integration, but let's still put up some boundaries. And that's one of the considerations in selecting the space that you choose to work from. Can you close the door? Is there natural light in that space? Can you have a proper background so that things aren't cluttering your screen and people are peeking in and saying, what's going on over there? So yes, you want to consider these things as you're selecting your space and closing the door. Closing the door not only to keep people out when you're having meetings and indicate, hey, I'm in a real focus zone right now, or I'm inside of a meeting and cannot be interrupted, but also closing the door when you're done for the day so that you're not tempted to go back and do one last thing or, ooh, I thought of something else. Write that down on a notepad and don't enter that money space. Like really try so hard to keep these boundaries and set up your money space such that it supports your whole life and not just your work.
I love that money space. I think we could use a little help here as well. I'm not in the studio. This could use some work as well. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us. But please tell our audience how they can contact you and just briefly about your Money Space Challenge. What is that and what can people anticipate?
So the way to get in touch with us is Nikki Klug on all the platforms. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, NIKKIKLUGH design. And the website is nikkiklugdesign.com. So we are doing a challenge coming up in the new year for a 5-day Create Your Money Space challenge where we take you through all the steps like selecting the room, creating your furniture plan, setting a budget, and then identifying which of the 5 senses are the ones that most speak to you and help you get in the mindset. And then after that, your big whys, like this is a part of the exercise that takes you deep into why you do what you do and how to then use that to create an environment that's inspiring and help you focus throughout the day. So that's the 5-day Money Space Challenge. Create your own Money Space Challenge, and just go to moneyspaces.com and sign up for our list to get informed when the date of the challenge will actually be.
Oh, that's fantastic, Nikki Klug. Thanks so much for joining us on Get Wealthy. You covered a lot of ground with us, and I love the fact that I can write off your services as well as I'm increasing the value of my home because that's how you get wealthy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
Thank you.
Awesome. So when we come back, what are the 3 takeaways from today's show that can not only help you gain peace of mind, make a good impression, but also create that sacred money space? We'll be right back.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, and I hope you enjoyed today's segment on Get Wealthy about creating that money space. So here are the 3 things that you need to take away from today's show. First, a cluttered space could mean a cluttered mind. And secondly, we shape our homes, and our homes also shape us. But also, our homes are also an extension of ourselves. And now that we're inviting people in virtually, we want to keep that in mind so that we make that great impression. That's going to do it for us on Get Wealthy. Thanks so much for joining us only on Black Star Network.